Dining cars have always been a vital part of express trains, but for just as long they have posed the design challenge to fit in all of the necessary kitchen equipment while also leaving space for as many guests as possible. Why not solve this problem by turning parts of the wagon into a double-decker? The original consist of the 1928 Rheingold, famous for its comfort and luxury, was developed and purpose-built for this train. When in 1951 operation of the Rheingold was resumed, however, Germany's economy didn't allow for a new built consist adequate to the name, and already existing yet modern pre-war stock was chosen and refurbished. But this changed in 1962, when an all-new built and tailor-made consist in cobalt blue and beige was introduced. And while the dome car, we talked about in an earlier video, is surely the star of this new consist, the dining car, the first new full dining car type introduced in West Germany after the war, is just as unique. At the time the new Rheingold was introduced, dining cars were still not owned by the Deutsche Bundesbahn, the Federal Railway of West Germany themselves, but rather by their subsidiary Deutsche Schlafwagen- und Speisewagen-Gesellschaft, German Sleeper and Dining Car Company. Short, DSG, the West German successor of the Mitropa. In difference to other wagons owned by the DSG, the dining wagons of the new Rheingold were not painted in dark red, but to keep with the coherent appearance of the train, in cobalt blue and beige with black-grey skirts. Correctly, they did nonetheless not wear the so-called Keks, the cookie-shaped logo of the Bundesbahn. Instead they carried the bold letters DSG, flanked by the pre-war Mitropa logo, which was adopted by the DSG without any modifications, sporting a stylized eagle holding a four-spoked wheel and forming the letter M with its wings. M for, well, Mitropa. Colloquially, this logo is known as Gefriergans, German for deep frozen goose, and you really can't blame anyone for calling it that way. The very much still existing Mitropa in East Germany, on the other hand, who, by the way, beheaded their frozen goose for political reasons, unsurprisingly wasn't very happy about the continued use of their logo in West Germany. But that is an entirely different story. Like most dining cars, if not all, the 1962 edition has two main sections, one for the travelers to enjoy their meal and one for the food to be prepared. The design of dining wagons has always been a challenge in itself. While there's only a limited amount of space available, it has to take all of the equipment needed by the crew, while also offering seats for as many guests as possible to avoid the need of an additional specialized wagon. In addition to that, the kitchen cannot take up all of the wagon's width, as there still needs to remain enough space for a gangway to traverse the wagon. The only room, on trains usually amply available, is headroom. Adding to it by raising the roof close to the limits of the loading gauge, as well as lowering the floor, which of course can only be done between the wheel sets, the vertical space is enough for 2 floors altogether, making these wagons effectively 1.5 deckers and gaining them the nickname Buckelspeisewagen, German for humpback dining car. While the resulting ceiling height wouldn't be adequate for a comfortable large dining room, it's just right for a compact kitchen. With that solution found, the kitchen is split up into a cooking area in the upper floor and a washing area in the lower. Not only the dishes are cleaned in the later one, but also vegetables can be washed and peeled. Both floors are accessible from the hallway through short stairwells and are connected through a dinner lift, which can also be used to send prepared meals to the buffet, which is located at the very end of the wagon, where the boogie wouldn't allow for 2 floors. From here, the waiters fetch the meals and drinks ready for serving. As the dining car usually directly followed the dome car and was orientated with its kitchen towards it, the dome car's bar and lounge could also efficiently be served from the dining car's kitchen. The final room on this side is the very cramped crew toilet, taking up the space usually reserved for the entrance door. As such, on this end, the wagon only features one access door at the hallway side. Due to the compact double-decker kitchen, the dining compartment makes up for most of the wagon's length, presenting 48 seats in an asymmetrical layout, offering tables with 4 seats on the kitchen side as well as tables for two on the hallway side. To be able to separate larger groups, the dining room is divided in the middle through a glass wall, creating effectively two dining rooms with 24 seats each. While at the very end of the dining compartment, the wagon offers a vestibule with entrance doors to both sides, a guest toilet is missing. In reality, however, the following coach would always have a toilet connected to its vestibule. Therefore, another toilet wasn't really necessary and would only take away space from the dining room. Just as with all of the other wagons of the 1962 Rheingold, also the humpback diners were equipped with 4 magnetic track brakes to make them suitable for up to 160 km per hour and power generators on the bogies for an independent power supply. 2 wagons were built for the new Rheingold in 1962, and when in 1963 also the Rheinpfeil was upgraded with new rolling stock, 3 more were added. All 5 of them were built by Uhrenstein und Koppel, a company you might be familiar with if you have watched my last video. Already in 1965, both the Rheingold as well as the Rheinpfeil were integrated into the Trans-Europe Express network, and the cobalt blue paint gave way for the TEE color purple-red. When just a year later, the Deutsche Bundesbahn overtook all dining wagons from the DSG, which still continued to operate but no longer owned them, the DSG markings were omitted. The new owner markings, the Bundesbahn Keks, were not put in their place, however, but rather located at the height of the windows, allowing the iconic Trans-Europe Express lettering to take the place of the former DSG markings. Even though the double-decker kitchen is not only space efficient and sanitarily favorable due to the separation of cooking and cleaning into 2 rooms, troubles with the food lift as well as higher maintenance costs meant no further examples of this design were built. In 1972, also the Rheingold received single-deckers, with the 1.5-decker still occasionally seen in other trains, before finally being withdrawn from service in 1981. At this point, the Trans-Europe Express lettering had also disappeared. While the overall design of these diner wagons was still more than adequate, a scheduled complete overhaul would have been necessary for further use. But the low profitability due to the high running cost didn't justify this further investment. As they were still fairly young, however, the Bundesbahn tried to sell them. But that wasn't very successful either. Only one of them found a new career for historic specials, and as such still exists today, while the remaining 4 were unfortunately scrapped. The Buckelspeisewagen are surely some of the most intricate diners ever seen on rails, but it came at a high cost. One that granted them only a short service life of about 20 years, and little to no interest by other operators when they were up for sale, leading ultimately to the scrapping of almost all of them. One, however, escaped, and is thankfully in caring hands to this day. Thank you for joining me on this culinary railway excursion. I hope you have enjoyed it. A hearty thank you goes also to my channel members Dave Heise, Flip Schwip, Kay Frankley and Lucas Ilskens for supporting my work in a direct way. You can also support me by sharing this video with friends who would enjoy it too. See you next time, here at Steel Bridge Models.